She was able to convince him to bring black people into the employment programs of the New Deal. She was very concerned about black youth, and she was working for the National Youth Administration. Well, having summer programs, work programs, for young black people to go off and work in a, for example, clearing roads in forested areas, working in parks and other places. All of these provided work and a wage that goes with work and training sometimes that was vital to many African Americans. She also tried the best she can. She would get Eleanor Roosevelt's ear. They developed this wonderful friendship. And Eleanor Roosevelt, probably before Hillary Clinton, was the most influential First Lady we've ever had in this country. And she was able to convince Eleanor first. Then Eleanor would go and try to get to Franklin and convince him that this was the right thing to do. One of the things that I think was kind of, Bethune convinces her to go to the South and to this meeting in Birmingham to deal with the problems of the South. And Roosevelt understood that in the long run he had to deal with the fact that the South was backward. And the only way the South could really develop was to get the races together. So they call this conference in Birmingham. But Birmingham is a segregated city. So what is Eleanor Roosevelt going to do? She's the First Lady of the United States. She's going to this conference that has the backing of the Roosevelt administration. She arrives there, and Bull Connor, yes, Bull Connor, the guy who comes up in the 1960s shooting with the fire hoses and police dogs, is there in the 1930s, and he's insisting this has to be segregated. You can't have an integrated meeting in Birmingham. So Eleanor Roosevelt walks into this room, and on one side are blacks, other side whites. Where is she going to sit? She sits in the middle. That satisfied many as the best she could do under the circumstances, and it kind of shows the way in which Roosevelt administration was willing to go part of the way toward equal treatment of all races, but not all of the way. By the end of the 1930s, we also know from her writings that Mary McLeod Bethune was herself beginning to raise some questions about the Roosevelt administration. And if Awele is here, I think there's a, do you want to introduce the letter? She writes a letter to Roosevelt in 1939 indicating her concerns about the New Deal.